What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Nichols YouTube channel. Now, before we get to Rudy's interview, this is a Decklist that he used to get second at Louisiana States. And as you see, it is a Slurpuff Swampert Seismitoad deck. So we know what Slurpuff does. It lets you, once before your turn, draw a card. And if Slurpuff is your active card, or active Pokemon, you may draw another card. So you draw two that way. But the cool thing here is he plays Swampert. So Swampert has the ability Diving Search, which once during turn before you attack, you may search your deck for a card, shuffle your deck, and then put that card on top of it. So that way you can put any card on top of your deck. You can put a Cassius, you can put a Team Flare Gun, you can put a Crushing Hammer, you can put a Laser, whatever you need just to put on top of your deck, so that way you know you draw into it, which is really cool idea. I know that another player did this at Georgia Regionals and actually won. I can't think it was Georgia or Alabama. Okay, it's Alabama. I'm like 90% sure it's Alabama now. But that's the concept of the deck. You just use Swampert to put anything on top of your deck, Slurpuff to draw into it, and then of course Seismitoad to Quake a Punch, so your opponent can't play any item cards from his or her hand. And the cool thing is, if you're playing against like another Seismitoad deck, you can just Swampert Flare Gun up to the active, and then use Tasting to draw into it. And as you see, he does play one Jinx for Victory Kiss. Now this is a really cool idea because if you're battling out against a Toad, basically the Toad is only doing 20 damage to you because Victory Kiss does heal the 10 damage off, which is pretty cool. But hopefully you just enjoy this interview, and thanks for watching. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Nichols YouTube channel. Today we're doing another states question answer video with Rudy. And Rudy, where are you from?
Houston, Texas.
Okay. And what states did you play at last weekend?
I played at Louisiana.
Okay. And how'd you end up doing it, Swiss?
I ended up going 5-1-1, or 7 rounds. Yeah.
Okay. So what were some of the decks that you played against, and did you win or lose?
My only loss of the day was Virgin, and funny enough, my only tie of the day was Virgin as well. But round one, yeah, exactly right. I'm playing Toad, so it's just like, thank God. But round one, I played against Roger, I think his name was. He was playing Fairies. Was pretty uneventful. Both games, he couldn't get anything set up. Like he, was just draw pass, and just Toad lock him. Game two was similar, but he actually had a Cernius out and actually got a Mega Gardevoir going and just was starting one-shotting, but actually came back by Crushing Hammers and Flare Grunts. But so round two, I played against the Virgin. Game one, he just goes attach, and then I miss heads on my Crushing Hammer, attach, and I scoop because,
Yeah.
Game two was similar. He starts Deoxys, though. So I tried to poison lock him and, lock him out. But I think he played a DCE. He played a single DCE, which was crazy. And then just proceed to scoop because he got a Genesect on board with G-Booster and Unity needed. Round three, I played against Flareon. It was going back and forth game one, but, I pretty much just knocked out all his Leafeons, and then that was it. Game two, he had nothing, so he had like 4 EVs on board, and that's it, and I just knocked out each one. He just drew pass. Round four, I played against Flareon Night March, similar to round three, same thing, but I just trump card Toad lock him. Round five was on stream, and he drew dead. It just seems weird. All my wins were like uneventful. Like there was nothing. Like he just scooped both games. He was playing Dawn Fan, and then round six was against Jake, who I ended up losing to in the finals. He was playing Manectric, Toad, Suicune stuff. And I thought this was going to be a pretty bad matchup because in testing the night before with Brad and some other people, I just couldn't, Manectric I feel like just Toad has a bad matchup versus Manectric. You can't really Crushing Hammers everything away. Like if they get a Manectric set up, they could just Energy Acceleration everything onto whatever.
Sure.
So I was scared of it, but I just went out the gates. I got Swampert set up, and I could Swampert Slurpuff, so I got whatever I needed, Crushing Hammers, and I would recycle it all. So, he would knock out my Verbanks with Rough-Seas, and I'd go back Slurpuff Toad, give me the Verbank. So it's a pretty sick combo. I like it. Swampert was pretty clutch. Also the catcher, the single catcher, was just amazing all throughout the Swiss. And then round seven was against Chris Hill. He was playing Virgin. He knows what I was playing. So he could have knocked me out at any point I'd have cut, but he decided not to. He's like, I'll just ID with you, and I know you need, So thank Jesus. so that was Swiss. It's pretty uneventful for most of the part. They were all good games whenever I played, the ones I won. But on the top cut in top 8, I played top 8 Brad, if you know what I'm talking about. So Brad was pretty confident sitting down. I wasn't, because he was playing Manectric, Black Kyurem with Archie's Napoleon.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's essentially what Jake was playing, similar, except he was playing Archie's build. So game 1, game 1. Game 1 takes forever. So basically, I get the early Toad Lock. He just, starts powering up Manectrics and Keldeos. The biggest thing he actually got turn 1 was the Keldeo with a Float Stone.
Okay.
So he could easily get out of my, poison lock. So I couldn't lock him. And he played down Rough Seas pretty early. So it was just a game of endurance, pretty much. Just if I could hit heads, and I was hitting hot. It was running hot.
Yeah.
Heads on laser, heads on hammer, catcher heads. He even retreated a Kyurem or a Manectric, and I flipped heads on catcher. Catcher was so clutch. That was the best card in the deck, I'd have to say. But the fact, Swampert Slurpuff, man, that's a sick combo.
Yeah, true.
So game 1 takes forever and a day. He scoops after I get 3 prizes, and go on to game 2. Game 2 was similar, but he actually got out the gates with Napoleon Archie's. So he had set up throughout the Toad Lock.
Okay.
But actually, a couple times he whiffed energies. That was the biggest thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so, when you end him and all that, it went to time, and I had more prizes than he did. I think he ended up having, I had, 2 prizes to 4, or 1 prize or 2 prizes to 4, and they called time, so I won that one. And then top 4 was against Will Herman with Landy Bats, which I feel is, a pretty good matchup. But it's funny because we actually talked about this, to put in a 4th Hawlucha for Toad. So he's a really good friend of mine, so I told him to put in the 4th Hawlucha in case you play Toad. And so he had 4 Hawlucha. He wasn't able to stream Hawluchas. He did a misplay where he actually Junipered a Crobat instead of benching it, or evolving it.
Yeah, evolving.
And he was 30 short of knocking out my Toad with Hawlucha, which cost him the game pretty much.
Yeah.
And the game 2, it was trading. He's streaming Hawluchas. He didn't bench the Landers or anything. He's streaming Hawluchas, but he did bench a Jirachi, and I felt like that would have been a key point in the matchup, because I Lysander to Jirachi and just go Toad Lock him or 50, and I knew next turn if I could get the catcher heads or whatever, I would win. And I saw the catcher and I flipped heads, and it was clutch when I need it. But then in the finals, I play Jake Morgan, who ends up winning. Game 1, I start Jirachi, and then I draw Toad. The next 3 cards were Toad, literally.
Oh my goodness.
And he gets an early Toad Lock, and that's it. I mean, and I scoop. Game 2, I had to basically it was kind of a misplay. I knew I computer searched for a Jinx. I also played the single Jinx because he started with Toad. When I should have, kept a Verbank because he had Rough Seas. So instead, it was just a back and forth. He locked me out of my items with Toad, so I was burning through all my cards, and Trump card was in the discard, and all my VS Seekers are in my hand, so I don't have anything else since I run just a bunch of trainers. So
yeah,
he got his revenge.
Oh well, but 2nd place is still very good. Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, thank you. 2nd place, 2nd time in a row.
Oh, okay.
At Louisiana, yeah.
Okay. So, about your list, now, Swampert Slurpuff did win the States, but that one did play Scoop Up Cyclone. Why'd you decide to play Computer Search instead?
It's just consistency. I figured I needed to hit Archies as often as possible, and Computer Search did that. Actually, it's funny. The original list, I had egg in it, and that was because we were hitting. Anyways, it's just numbers and stuff like that. And I wanted to hit the consistency, so I took out every other tech card except for Jinx, obviously.
Yeah.
And just consistency. That's it.
Okay. Now you only played 1 Archie's. Why didn't you not play a second one, or was the one good enough?
The one was good enough. I actually, thank God, never had it prized. So whenever I needed it, it was always there. I actually had a town map up until about the next day. The night before I had it up in there, and I was like, I'll take it out for Jinx because Jinx helps in the Toad mirror.
Okay. Now, why did you decide to play the one Cassius?
The Cassius, because I know I can get whatever I want. It was my healing option. When you have two Swampert Slurpuff, you can get whatever you want. So I figured if I can Cassius and just get a DC muscle band, again, it's better.
Now, which one did you like more? Did you like the Cassius or the Flaregrunt?
I used Cassius once, and I used Flaregrunt more. I love the Flaregrunt way more than the Cassius. I mean, in the tournament, in the end, that's what the result was. So, I mean, I would have to say Flaregrunt.
Okay. Now, why did you decide to play this deck for the tournament?
Actually, going up until about Thursday, I was going to play Kyogre. I was testing all different builds of Kyogre. But I felt with the deck hit brick hard. Like, whenever it's so reliant on supporters, like setting up with supporters. If you don't have a supporter in your hand, you could just lose. So it runs good or it doesn't. And then I was talking to Will Herman again. Once again, we play all the time on PTGO. And he's like, hey, I play this deck, whatever. And so I kind of made some changes from the list that he was playing. And was liking the results. Like I was like, computer search every turn. Why not? So I felt pretty confident that it was going to be good. I put in the single Jinx for the mirror because I figured Toad might be the most popular deck. Actually, it was not. Manectric and Virgin variants were, and I only played one or two per se. So it was pretty lucky. And then the catcher was so clutch. I can't get over the catcher.
Would you like to play a second catcher, or you think the one's good enough?
No, the one was good. It was mainly because, if I wanted to set up, like if I wanted to get, play a supporter that turn, such as like Juniper or N or like Flaregrunt or something, I could still catcher and poison. You know what I mean? Like, you could still play a supporter as well as catcher. And if I flip tails, it's not anything big or spectacular, just tails.
True. Now, after playing this list, would you make any changes to it, or do you think it's pretty solid?
Funny, I actually would probably drop a Sycamore. I saw Sycamore way too much. It's funny to say that because you run like 4 Sycamore and one of every supporter for consistency's sake. But Sycamore for something else, I'm not sure what. Maybe a third Puff or something. But other than that, it was pretty solid all around. Pretty consistent. Now,
how many championship points does that put you at?
I think that puts me at 230. Okay. I went to like 2 or 3 cities, top 4 and two top 4s and a top 8. Top 8 didn't count. And the top 32 regionals, Houston regionals, and then Florida regionals. And then obviously the second here. So still got to grind. Going to Georgia and Kansas hopefully, and then some league challenges to finish it out. Before nationals.
Now talking about Kansas, do you think you're going to switch decks? Or do you think this deck is pretty solid?
I'm keeping my options open. I know at a larger event like that, I was looking at the states results, and I see Toad was by far the most popular deck. I feel like Toad now has a target on its head.
Yeah, true.
So I'm not too sure about playing Toad again, but just keep my options open. Play a few league challenges with other decks. Yeah, it is. I know Eggs also is another deck that people are, now it's actually winning states and stuff like that. So that's another deck to watch out for. Okay.
Now, do you want to give any shout-outs to anybody or anything?
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to thank my Team PTP. Been playing a long time, helped me out with cards I need to borrow, things like that. The people I drove with, always a pleasure. And then my beautiful girlfriend, Katie, for putting the puppy right here, Lona, and for letting me use her room to interview with you.
Did she go to Louisiana this weekend?
No, she did not. She was busy. Yeah, busy with school. She's actually in a vet tech program, so she's always busy with that.
Okay, I understand that. Well, thank you so much for doing this, man. Congrats on getting second.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, you too.
Bye.